Hello.
Hello.
We're back at our Kristen's house.
Yes, we are.
I guess we figured, or we just established, like every other time we can just go to each other's houses.
Yeah,
That works.
it was like a unspoken agreement, I feel like.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been working out this way.
Yes,
so far.
I've been liking it.
And this is the most we've seen each other in months and months and months.
It's amazing, especially with no kids.
Right.
Where it's just us to hang out.
The only time we ever saw each other this much was when we worked together, which was a dream.
Yeah, that was so fun. Ugh. They put us on the same shift. And I was like, are you sure you want Kristen on this shift? I mean, I'm not complaining, but like, are you sure?
It was a bad idea.
It was, but we had so much fun and we did a great job.
Yeah, the work got done.
Yes. Kristen was always very like meticulous and so like regimented and be like, Sarah, I need to do this. And I'd be like, I got you. I'm ready. And I could do the off the cuff stuff.
Yeah. You'd always bring the fun.
For sure. Yeah. You brought fun too though.
Yeah, when it was appropriate.
Yes. Yeah. That's probably why she got to a higher level than me. There.
You didn't give yourself enough time. I just left. Yeah, you just left. You could be running that place now.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I talk about QVC.
I do like QVC stuff. Yeah. Okay, cheers.
Cheers.
Surfside.
Thank you, Surfside.
Yeah, well, thank you, Kristen, who bought these. Surfside, we would love a sponsorship.
Yes. So, funny story about the Surfsides. So, I bought them early this morning. At 9 a.m.
Okay.
So, for all my Ohio people, because I know there's a lot of Ohio listeners, this Pennsylvania is a prison, and you have to go to a certain store or like distributor to get either beer, or if you're getting liquor, you have to go to the wine and spirit store. You can't
just go to a local Wegmans or grocery store to get this.
Can't go to...
Because it's vodka.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just go to your grocery store and get it, or go to the gas station, as we would do in Ohio, and just get your fill up on your alcohol. So this morning I realized I didn't have any Surfsides, and so I went at like 9 a.m. 9:01 I walked in the door. They open at 9. And the guy heard the door open and looks around at me and is like, "Oh, hello." And I was like, "Hi." And I go, I know exactly where the Surfsides are. I get them. And the register wasn't working, like the little card thing wasn't working. And I was like, well, I guess that's what I get for being the first customer of the day.
Computer hasn't woken up yet.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, there's no prize for coming in here first, unfortunately. And I was like, well, especially...
He said that?
Yeah. Oh. And I said, well, especially when you're coming into the liquor store first, like, and he started like giggling. And I said, well, when you have small kids... And he goes, yeah, you got to drink early in the morning. And I was like,
instead of just being like, yes, you got to come when they're in school.
Yeah.
It's no,
I was like,
start early.
What I was going to say was you have to run your errands early, but yeah, you know what I mean. And he was like, yeah, for sure. And then everything kind of worked out, and I was getting ready to leave, and he goes, well, Mom, you want a bag for these? And I go, oh no, I'm opening these in the car.
He probably loved that.
He thought that was hilarious.
He's like calling 911. He's like, there is a drunk woman leaving my shop.
That's not funny. You should never do that. I don't condone that. But
never done it before.
That is what I said. And he thought that was funny. And then I kind of walked out
You're
there
full
like...
of jokes in the morning.
Full of jokes? Morning
jokester.
I know. Who am I? I don't know.
Now that you've like mentioned this, I don't know if I've ever, because I live in Delaware, you can't get like liquor or alcohol in like a grocery store, but everything is condensed into one. You just have like liquor stores. So
yeah,
you don't get it at a grocery. You can't go to like a grocery store, a Walmart or anything. Mm-hmm. You have to go to an actual store, but everything's together. But we have liquor stores everywhere. We call them liquor stores, but they sell everything, beer, wine, liquor. I don't know if I've ever seen a liquor store, like an alcohol store in Pennsylvania. And I come here all the time.
Yeah. Wine and spirit store.
That's what they're called?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what are they? Like little like bougie things like with the little light sign in the window?
Yeah. I mean, they pop up all over the place. And they're usually in like a little like plot, like little mall area, whatever.
A strip center or something.
Strip center, yeah. But yeah, so the wine and spirit store. And then your like beer store will be like Doug's Beer, or you know what I mean? Like a cool, like privately owned like little beer spot, typically.
Pennsylvania is stupid.
It's a prison.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Every one of my friends from Ohio move here, please, though, because I miss you.
Oh.
But it is a prison.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking. Like, I've never seen one, so that's a good point.
But I do love the Wawa that's by
Over the line.
Nemours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because there is one Wawa that's close to us that you can get beer there.
Mm-hmm. It's right on the line.
Yeah. So when Keith and I would leave the NICU after August, we would stop there
on the way home,
pick up a beer.
You have to drink to get you. I didn't drink when Summer was in the NICU, but because I think there was just too much going on. Like it was just too much. We didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So I just was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I just need to go right to sleep.
Right.
And then when she died, I never slept after that. Could sleep every day when she was in the hospital because you were just so tired.
Oh yeah, you're exhausted.
But then now I'm just like
wide awake.
Why is my daughter not here? I have a Surfside story very quickly.
Okay.
A girl I went to high school with, Kirsten, and we're friends outside of high school too. I haven't seen her in a while, but she's a teacher now. And
shout out teachers.
Yeah, we love teachers. Our sponsorship worked. Us talking about it, non-spawn, I should say. She had never tried it before. And she was like, you guys always are talking about Surfside. I am going to go get some. And she was like, they are so good.
Yeah, they are. I feel bad for my Ohio people because you can't get them
because it's a Pennsylvania thing.
I don't think you can get them.
Yeah, when you walk into our liquor store, they have everything in the world. Surfsides are right when you walk in the door. Like you'll trip over them because they always put what's selling right in the front. So it's like Surfsides, High Noons.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so us talking about it has got people drinking it. So
if you see one, buy one.
Yeah, it is so good.
They're delicious. And I always think of my mom when I drink these because my mom doesn't like a lot of like super, super sweet alcohol, or she doesn't like a regular beer.
Yes.
This is like
a little wine cooler type of thing.
Yes. And she would love it.
The first one, we always say, you just don't know there's anything in it.
Yeah.
And then the second one, you're like, I feel really happy. And then the third one, you're like,
what am I doing?
Yeah. And then the fourth one, you're like, oh, I probably shouldn't drive.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
For sure. Yes.
That's how we feel on the beach.
Oh.
And sometimes the first one's hard to get down.
Agreed. Second ones go down easy. Mm-hmm. Should we get into our correction section?
Yes.
We don't have a jingle, but let's do one on the fly and see if we can go in harmony. Correction. You went so high. I could not. I was like, I'm
thinking about the SNL skit with Kristen Wiig and Fred Armisen, where she's just like, go ahead and sing
correction. Oh yes, you are Kristen Wiig. Yeah, you went so high. I was like, oh.
Yeah, Kat and Garth or something like that.
Yes,
they're SNL characters.
Anyway, okay. Well, correction section.
Here it is.
Okay. I will go first.
Okay.
This seems to be just a repeating thing. The Good Samaritan law.
Wait, what are you talking about? Again?
I just want to confirm really quick. Sam mentioned, please do not put a pen in anyone's throat.
To me? She told me that?
She said it to me, please tell Kristen not to put a pen in anyone's throat.
Sam, how dare you?
And my friend Drew, he wanted me just to give an example of the Good Samaritan law. If I pass out on the floor, and you need to give me CPR, and you break my ribs doing it, trying to like, or if I choke and you give me the Heimlich and you break my ribs, I can't sue you.
Oh, because I was saving your life.
Because you're saving my life. So that's the Good Samaritan law.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, gotcha.
Also, Drew had pointed out back when I was talking about the driver's test with Delaware.
Yeah.
In Delaware, I guess it's a state law that it's not just the private school for the rich people. It's a law for, not a law, but everybody takes driver's ed in their school. And then you take your test in school.
In Delaware.
Wow. And then you go to the DMV to get just your driver's license.
Whoa.
So you don't have to go to the DMV for your test or anything.
Yeah, it was just an extra step.
So it wasn't a
so it's not as convenient.
Perk. Yeah. But it was, he had pointed those two things out. The example for the Good Samaritan law.
I hope we can put a button on that and close that one up.
And then the driver's license thing. So
cool. Thanks, Drew.
Yes. So what correction do you have?
I have one correction. It's about August's weight when she was born.
Oh, it's eating at you.
It was eating at me. I said she was 6'4". She was 6'7".
Yeah. I thought it seemed weird.
What Penny was 6'7".
Wait, correction for me then, because Penny was 6'11".
See?
Mom brain, dummies.
After a while, like, it's so funny. You remember for so long, like, all these details, and then after a while, they slowly start to fade. And you're like, I know she was 6 pounds, but I don't know what the ounces were.
Yes.
So yeah, she was 6'7".
Okay. So all of the girls, well, not Summer, I guess, but Penny and August, we're in the 6 pound range.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Love that. Okay. So update from our last episode. It was so nice to talk about Summer a little bit. And I thought you did a great job, like just asking some questions.
Thanks.
You
did a really fantastic job.
Thank you. So I guess I wanted to talk a little bit. I know we had spoke about Pam with Nemours when she had called in the middle of the podcast, but I sent her our episode online through email, and she had listened.
Oh, nice.
She loved it, and she asked to share it with, I already had told you this, but she asked to share it with the grieving parents group at Nemours, which is really so special to us.
Yeah.
And just even have that connection with Nemours, because it obviously has a special place in our heart. So we're happy to kind of not partner with them, but sort of be a resource to other grieving parents.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm just like thinking back, if like somebody had sent me a podcast from 2 women who were at Nemours and had lost babies, like right after August died, like that would be so awesome. So just thinking about them having that resource now is really nice.
I agree.
And comforting.
For sure. And some people might not be ready yet.
No.
And I've heard that from a few people who've reached out, like about who have friends who have had children pass away, and they're like, they're not ready yet, but I've shared your information, and when they're ready, they'll take a listen. And it's all in your own time, which, we know everything's in your own time. So yeah, for sure. All right. So one thing, I got my insect test back.
Okay.
I'm not allergic to anything.
Any insects?
No insect. So they didn't do it on my back.
Bless.
They did it on my arm. I thought it was back, but it was venom.
It was venom?
It was venom. They called the venom test. So they do all of them in my arm. And they were all negative. So now they're like, all right, maybe I'm allergic to a food. But food is so vague. Like there's so many different foods. You can't decide from it. So
that's good that you're not allergic to any bugs, because I do have this bag of cockroaches.
Yeah, they didn't test me for cockroaches.
Okay, we're giggling because last week I was coughing.
You were the sicko.
I was a sicko. This week it's you.
Yeah, it's just that I don't feel sick, but it's just the throat thing.
Yeah. And it's super annoying when you're trying to talk on a microphone to have like a weird little tickle back there.
I can feel the tickle right now coming. I'm like, don't you do this?
Yeah.
So if we have lots of commercials, it's my fault this time.
It is, yeah.
And the editing, I'll have to edit it out. I saw on your Instagram the cutest thing. Baby Crew.
Oh.
Is crawling.
Yep. He's crawling, finally. Praise, but now I'm scared.
Oh.
He's already just terrorizing the house. And you forget how quickly, it's not just like the cabinets and like the pots and pans and like under the sink and stuff. It's everything. So I had my coffee on the floor set, and he just went straight for it, beeline for it.
Great place for the coffee.
I know. But when he's not moving,
you just can throw
everything goes on the floor. So, and I'm a floor sitter, this. So I'm always like on the floor with like my food or my coffee or whatever. Otto's got toys everywhere. And as soon as he started crawling, he just went like straight towards everything you can't have.
Does he chase Otto around everywhere too?
No, he doesn't want to chase him. He just wants his toys. So Otto will leave something on the floor and Crew's like,
this is my opportunity.
This is mine now. And it's just straight into his mouth.
Well, it probably makes him less frustrated now because he can move. He's going. He'll be a year in November. So he's a late crawler.
Yes.
So
I was getting a little worried. I was like this close, very close to calling the PT to get him in there. But you were giving me some good advice and stuff like that, that you did for Penny for when she was starting to crawl. And I was working with him every day.
Great.
So
it worked. It's all about building the core up.
Yeah. He needed it big time.
He just was the big flump. Big fluffy man.
He's just a fluff. And I love it.
But he's so cute. Well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
Good job, Mom.
Good job, crew. When you see this one day.
Love that. All right. So I see we have a little special lady joining us today.
Oh my gosh. We
Look
do.
at her. She is so sweet.
It's August.
And you can see we have on our August shirts. Always August. Koozies.
Yeah. Koozies too.
Yes.
We're wearing our blues.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers. And cheers to you.
Yes. I had ordered this August shirt from Heather.
Mm-hmm.
And when you order, it is so sweet. Like, she puts so much thoughtful stuff together.
She does. She's so good. She had put in honor of August Grace, $3.60 is being donated to baby Colin Little Peter from the purchase you made. The donation from your purchase brings the donation total to $45. So it's so cute. Yes.
To have that. So I think 20% of whatever you buy goes to it. And she sends stickers, little August stickers.
They're so cute. Yeah. And
so sweet. We put these on our microphones.
Heather.
I have my summer and she's the August one. So yeah, you get little stickers if you're listening and little motivational things, but adorable.
Yeah.
And it goes towards a good cause. So I had ordered my shirt. I was so excited to wear it today because we wore our summer ones last week.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess I'll let you take the floor and I'll kind of I'll be you last week.
Okay, cool.
We have the tissues.
Yeah, we do.
So let's see. I called Kristen yesterday. I was like, how you feeling about the episode? And she was like, good. I got to go. And hung up. So I was like, we don't have to do it tomorrow. We
I
can
was
do
already
this another
sensitive
day.
to it. I've been amping myself up all week, though.
It is a lot. I just remember feeling this last week.
Yeah.
It is a lot to just prepare for and to think about. So
yes. And I guess disclaimer or trigger warning for those of you who are listening. I am going to be explaining in a little bit of detail about miscarriage and chemical pregnancy as well before I get into all of August. So if that is something that is triggering towards you or something that you just cannot hear right now, I'm not offended. We are not offended. Please protect your peace and your mental health. And you do not have to listen to the rest of this episode. I just want everyone to be safe and to feel good. And so, yeah, I will be talking a little bit about that.
That's great to give that disclaimer before.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
Okay. Here we are. The sweetest little precious bean.
The sweetest little August. Yes. So right as Otto was turning 1, I found out that I was pregnant and was like, wow, that was fast, like crazy. Like we were like trying again and not sure and not sure how long it was going to take or whatever. And something that Sarah and I always say is like, we have no problem getting pregnant. Mm-hmm. It's just like keeping the pregnancy that is the tough part. So around 8 weeks, I went in for, well, I guess it was 7 weeks. I went in for an ultrasound, and the doctor had said something about like it not looking like a strong heartbeat. So I had to come back the next week, and at the next ultrasound that week, there was no heartbeat. So I was devastated, and I just couldn't believe it. You don't think anything bad is ever going to happen to you. So I ended up taking a pill that can help you pass the pregnancy naturally. And I took it on like a Friday night after work, and I was like, all right, I'll have the weekend. They said it'll be over, in a couple of days. And I had prepared myself for something kind of like insane. And after 2 days, I was like, okay, I think it's done. Like, I think I don't need to go into detail about how much blood or whatever was there, but I thought it was over.
Correct. Yep.
So on that Sunday, I actually was feeling a lot better, and I went on a 5-mile run. I was like, I need to get my head cleared. And I went on a run, and I was like feeling great. So Monday comes, and I was working. It was COVID time. So I was working from home, and Keith had gone into work, and I am basically going into labor and had no idea what was going on. I'm like hunched over.
Did they not warn you, or is everybody different?
They said everyone's different.
Okay.
And of course, I had no idea. It's just like when you're pregnant for the first time, like everything is weird. When you go into labor for the first time, everything's weird. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how your body is going to react. I'm like hunched over in the foyer here, just like in so much pain. I call Keith. I'm like, you need to get home right now. I have no idea what's going on. Basically, I'm having contractions and going into labor and like am finishing off my miscarriage.
It's one little pill. Did all this.
So that was traumatic for me. A couple months later, we get pregnant again. I go in for an ultrasound, no heartbeat again at 9 weeks. I was like, are you kidding me? That's 2 in a row. I just didn't. First, I didn't think I could have one miscarriage. Then to have 2 in a row, I'm like, what is going on? So, of course, I was like, I'm not doing what I did last time. I'm going to go in, I'm going to get a D&C and had a procedure done, which is super traumatic. You're awake. I was awake during mine. I went to my OB does the procedure in her office.
Oh, that's so good. Because I was going to say, I didn't know if you had to go to like...
I didn't go to the hospital.
A hospital or like a general surgeon type of place and your OB would do it there.
My OB does it. And Keith was there with me. And at first I didn't think they were going to let him in because it was still COVID like times. The beginning of COVID. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I have the procedure done and it was obviously super traumatic. And I was like, there's no possible way. Like now I'm thinking, okay, I need to look into like my family history and fertility issues, genetics and all this stuff. Couple months after that, I take a pregnancy test, found out that I was pregnant again, but then like 4 days later start my period. So I was testing positive on pregnancy tests, but started my period, and which was a chemical pregnancy. So now I've done 2 miscarriages, a chemical pregnancy, and I'm like, okay, we're taking a break. Like this is too much. My body has been through the ringer at this point. I'm depressed. I'm like not feeling great about anything. So I go in to my family doctor and she's like, let's run a whole panel of blood on you. Let's do hormones. Let's just take a look. Like let's look at your history. I really want to help you. I think it was like 2 days before I went in to go get my blood done. I am pregnant again.
Wow. With August?
With August. Okay. And I'm so nervous for like the first.
Do you know you're pregnant? You assume, I guess, right?
Yeah, I assumed I'm pregnant. Take a pregnancy test. Sorry. Obviously, I'm pregnant. I tell Keith. Keith is like, I don't know. Like we're both like, let's not get too attached.
Yeah, let's see what's going on.
So go in for first couple of ultrasounds and everything is looking perfect, looking great. And I'm just like elated.
Of course.
Elated.
You've made it past the stage.
Yes. And then, do the 12-week NIPT and I'm like, everything comes back beautiful. She's looking great on all of her ultrasounds. We go in for the 20-week ultrasound. She's beautiful. She's perfect. Everything looks great. And at this point, I'm starting to gear up we didn't know she was a girl and we weren't going to find out. And then it was Otto's 2nd birthday.
I remember this, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I kind of want to like prepare. I don't have like any clothes. Like, what if it is a girl and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of wore Keith down because he wanted to wait too. But we ended up finding out and we did a little gender reveal in Otto's birthday cake. So
I remember you FaceTimed me too.
Yep.
I have it on video, the FaceTime, but it doesn't have the sound for some reason. Because we were at Nick and Michelle's house.
So I do screen recorded.
I screen recorded, I guess, yeah. And it didn't save the sound, but I have it on my phone. It's cute.
Yeah, we were so excited. And I felt from the beginning that she was a girl. I was like, she's a girl. I knew it. I knew it in my soul.
I'm a girl. She's a girl. I just know it.
We just connected. So that was awesome. And then at this point, I'm gearing up Otto was a C-section, emergency C-section, because I was induced with him at 41 weeks. And the his heart rate kept dropping with the Pitocin. There was just too much Pitocin and he didn't do well with it. And it got to the point where they were like, we need to call it and make a decision here because it's starting to get unsafe for him. So he was a C-section, and I felt like my birth with him was kind of like that was, it was like taken from me. Like it's not what,
because you labored for like 2 days, right? And then did the C-section?
Yeah, like, you get induced. You get induced. It's a long process to get induced. You are laboring for a long time. That's exhausting.
For sure.
So I felt like something was like kind of stolen from me, and it made me really sad. You don't ever plan to have a C-section if it's not like, if you're like a normal, healthy birth or pregnancy, I should say. You don't plan to have a C-section.
Yeah.
So I was like,
your body's first time. It's learning.
Yeah. Super bummed.
Yeah.
So now I'm gearing up to like have a VBAC, which is vaginal birth after C-section. And everyone's amping me up. Like August is starting to sit like on my sciatic nerve. So I'm like my back is in a lot of pain. And I started going to a chiropractor who, Nicole Bailey, I love you to death. She made the rest of my pregnancy bearable and she was helping me the whole time. She had 3 of her own children, unmedicated, and 2 of them at home.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's amping me up. She's giving me all these.
I remember you telling me all this. You like calling me and be like, I think I can do this.
Yes. And sweet Ellen, model Ellen from QVC. Beautiful redhead. She has 4 kids, and she's like, you can do it. I know you can do it. She's like giving me all these tips and tricks. I'm reading every book under the sun.
You're eating dates.
I'm eating dates. I'm doing all of the things.
Teas.
Yes. Everything. And I was super prepared and knowledgeable about the birthing process. And I feel like I didn't go into Otto's labor like that because you just don't know what to expect. You're just like, well, kind of like the less I know, like the less scary it will be.
Yes.
And I was like totally switched around at this point in time.
Yeah. First pregnancy, if you don't have anything wrong to like go against.
Yeah.
You're go into it like nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pop this baby out.
Yeah. Like my body will take over.
Yes. Yep.
So I was prepared for this VBAC. And I was like, she's going to come like a week early. It's going to be great. Like I'm going to go into labor naturally. I'm going to be so prepared. I'm going to labor at home for a little bit. Then I'll go in, all the things. So as her due date is nearing, and I'm not getting any sort of traction on like any progress whatsoever, I'm starting to get nervous. And I'm like laying in bed at home, and I'm like feeling her weirdly on my one side. And I felt like something was off. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what it was.
Was it an actual feeling, or was it or was it a feeling like in your heart, or was it a feeling like, like Otto didn't do this?
It was both.
Okay.
So I would lay on my left side. Mm-hmm. And no, I'm sorry. I would lay on my right side, and she would kick me and elbow me hard to the point where I was like, when I switched over to the other side, she was fine. And I was like, there's something off here. I felt weird. It felt strange to me, but then, you kind of talk yourself out of it. You're like, it's fine. This is what people talk about. My first pregnancy with Otto was beautiful, perfect. Like everything went well. I slept great. I had no problems and issues besides I was sick at the beginning. I had no issues. So I'm like, well, I wasn't super sick with her at the beginning. So like, maybe this is just, her way of, being a pain in my butt.
Yes.
Kind of a thing. So it's at the 40-week mark, and my OB is like, since you haven't gone into labor naturally, we're going to schedule the C-section. And I'm like, okay. Cause I was and am a good candidate for a VBAC because I had a normal, healthy pregnancy, quotes.
Excuse me.
So I'm starting to get a little sad. My mom had come into town from Ohio for like the week. Cause I was like, I know I'm going to go naturally. And we were going to the zoo. We were going to the farms. We
You
were
drank
just
the
like,
brew?
I
forgot about it too until you were just talking.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And that's when I told my mom to come.
Yes, because we drank the brew.
Okay, so tell them about the brew.
Okay, so the Midwives Brew, if you haven't heard about it, is this old, it's like, I guess it's a wives' tale that you can drink like a shake, and it's castor oil, green tea, almond butter, and apricot juice.
Mm-hmm.
And you blend it and you have to like chug it. Well, I induced my own labor with Penny, and I've given it to so many women. Like, I'll come over the house and be like, the OB says it's fine and safe to take.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Kristen, listen, your mom's
at the appropriate time.
Yes, of course. When I was 40 weeks, I was term. So I've given it, or like have made it, and I think maybe to like 7 women.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have gone into labor except you with August.
Yep.
And you always say now, hindsight, it was because she knew she wasn't supposed to
be out yet.
Out yet. Like, she knew. So I was thinking
she wanted more time with me.
She wanted more time. Yeah. You got that time together. So anyways, I was thinking about that though, because we came here, I made the brew, you drank it, we were waiting, and I was like texting, I'm like, all right, like,
I went on a walk and I had terrible Braxton Hicks. Like, I was like, it's happening. And then went to sleep and was fine the next morning.
So you took the brew, it didn't work. So you were trying everything
I was
to go naturally.
Mm-hmm. And so when they scheduled the C-section, I was like, I was bummed, but I was like, you know what? It's okay. Like, my mom's here. She's going to be watching Otto, and we're going to go in at 7 a.m. and we're going to meet our girl in, 15 minutes. Like that. And that's what happens with C-sections, super quick. But I didn't recover well from my C-section with Otto. I just had every woman's different, but I just had such a hard time. I was miserable. I couldn't move. Some people do really well with it. And I was just like, I never want to do that again. Mm-hmm. So we go in at 7 a.m. and I'm like, I have like all this nervous energy. I'm like, I have this cute like blue dress on, and all the nurses were like, where'd you get that dress? You look so pretty. And I was like, oh my gosh, so thank you. And I just felt like really, really good. And so the doctor who was in at that time was this really cool, like, younger progressive doctor. And she and I had been, there's like 6 doctors in my practice, and her and I had been discussing a little bit about a VBAC and how I really wanted to do it. And she was like,
had you seen her before that, or is this your first time meeting her?
No, I'd seen her before that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And she comes up to me at the desk. Like, she sees that I had like just walked in, and she's like, I want to do a TOLAC. Do you want to do that? So TOLAC is trial of labor after C-section. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't know that I could do this. I didn't even know what a TOLAC was. And she's like explaining it to me.
She's like, it's a slow day, slow morning.
She's like, I'm ready
to just try it.
And I'm looking at her, and I had mentally prepared myself the whole
to deliver baby
day.
in an hour.
Like, I was like, I don't know about this. I look at Keith, and Keith is like, Kristen, this is what you wanted. You studied so many books, and you have prepared your body. You've been meditating. You've been listening to affirmations. Like, this is what you studied for. So if you want to do it, like, this is your time. Like, this is your time to show your stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. What the hell? So I'm getting induced, and I was like, I call my mom, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but we're making this day a long day. And I think I texted you.
Probably,
or
yes.
Keith texted you guys and was like, we're not meeting her in 15 minutes. We're going into get induced. So
what a gift hindsight that doctor gave you.
It gives me goosebumps.
Yes, to have that time.
And we rocked that labor. Like, I was so prepared. I knew I knew what my body was doing. It took forever to get induced, but once it was time to push, and I was like, I had thrown up, and I was like, okay, like, I know my body's transitioning. Like, this is time for me to push. It's like 2 a.m, and I'm like waking up Keith after. I'm like, Keith, I'm going to vomit. And he was like, oh no. And he's like, stumbling out of the uncomfy chair. He's like, it's time. And I was like, yeah, I think it's time. And the doctor came in and checked me. The new doctor had come on because it took so long to get induced. So Dr. Schatz comes in and she's like, okay, like, we're ready. It's time to push.
Rock and roll.
And I'm like, okay. And they're like teaching me, because obviously I didn't push at all with Otto. I was like around 7 centimeters when they called the emergency C-section with Otto. So I didn't even get to this point with him at all. Yeah. And I'm getting kind of nervous and they're teaching me how to do it. And I was like, okay. And I pushed a couple of times and didn't get like too much progress because I'm still like trying to figure it out. And this nurse comes in and is like chatting with my like labor and delivery nurse. Mm-hmm. And I hear her whisper like, hey, this is a VBAC, mom. Like, she's TOLAC. So this is probably going to take a long time. And I was like, no.
You're like, you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
That's all I had to hear. And so I start pushing. Instead of like pushing like 3 times, I'm like pushing every 4 times. I'm like
super. Mm-mm. I know those pushes. Yeah, and
I'm like, I'm getting this girl out of me. And so I'm pushing and pushing. It was like maybe like 50 minutes to an hour, I think. And I just remember like my Dr. Schatz like being like, here she comes, she's coming. And I was like, yes, like this is going to take a long time.
In your face.
Yeah, I'm like so excited. And she's born. And they put her on top of my chest and I'm just holding her and we're elated, like so unbelievably happy. And they put her on top of me and she looks up at me immediately.
She's like, hi, Mom.
And as soon as I made eye contact with her, I knew there was something wrong. Mm-hmm. She looked at me and she looked back at Keith. And I swear she was trying to tell us something. Mm-hmm. Because I'm smiling at her and then I see her face and I was like, I think she's telling me something.
Like almost like a panic look?
I don't know what it was.
You just an intuition look, I guess. You're just like...
Yeah. Like, obviously, she was, like, crying. She just came out, but, like, she wasn't making any noise. And they give Keith, like, you know, the scissors to cut the umbilical cord. And as soon as she's off the umbilical cord, I feel her struggling. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And they're like, oh, she's okay. They take her from me. I had her for, like, 30 seconds. In hindsight, that was the only time I ever had her without her being on life support. Without any wires or anything like that. And they take her from me. And my doctor is reassuring me. She's like, it's okay. Like, sometimes they just, you know, have a hard time coming out and adjusting to the world.
You know, they're always doing the rub in their chest, trying to make you feel okay.
Yeah. And she's still not crying. My doctor's, you know, starting to stitch me up. And she's like, it's okay. And I see people coming into the room. And they're rushing into the room. And Keith and I are just like standing there. Like, what's wrong? And they're like, we're not really sure. And I see like these young girls, these young like labor and delivery nurses, like kind of coming in just to like be there to support. You could tell that like they were called in.
Like a code or something.
Yeah. But no one knew what to do. And they were looking at me and I was just sitting there in shock.
Tell a little bit about your hospital too, though. It's not a hospital that has a NICU, correct?
Yeah. So I gave birth at Paoli Hospital. And they don't have like a full-blown NICU. They have like a small one that you just for like babies that come like a little early and they can like stay under the lights for a little bit and that's it. It's not like a full service NICU.
Yeah, so you're getting kind of like what they know at the time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we just know that something's wrong.
Right.
We don't know how to handle this.
So they call in another woman who must have been like the most tenured one of them all. And she takes her away And they're doing like ultrasounds, or doing as many tests as they possibly could at that point in time. And she comes in after a while, and Keith and I are just not
Quiet.
speaking to each other. Like, I'm in complete and utter shock. I don't have my baby with me. Keith's just like, standing there, like rubbing my back, and he's like, we're not talking. It's just quiet. And she finally comes back in and is like, we did like an ultrasound on our chest, and there's a big mass in there. And we're not sure if it's water. We're not sure if it's a mass like cancer. We're not sure if it's like, like a tumor or something. We're not sure what it is, but there's something in there that's blocking her, and she's having a hard time breathing. So let's take a quick break.
Okay.
I'll gather myself, and
yes.
then I'll finish.
Perfect.
Okay, we're back. Thanks, Surfside.
Thank you, Surfside.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yes. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. So where I left off was talking about how the nurse, or the doc, she was a doctor. She came in and she said there's some sort of mass in there. We're not sure what it is.
At Paoli.
At Paoli. And she's like, we need to take her to a NICU, like a children's hospital that can do more for her. And they were like, where do you want to go? And I was like CHOP or Nemours? And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not even from around here.
I didn't do my research on this part.
I don't know. Like, they're both great. I know that, but I'm not from around here. I've never had to have a child. I've never visited a child at any of these places. So I don't know which one is better. And I asked the doctor, I was like, where would you take your daughter? And she was like, well, I did a lot of work at Nemours, and I really loved them. And I think that it's a great spot for you. CHOP is in downtown Philly. It's harder to get to like every day. So let's do Nemours. It's close, and I mean close, 45 minutes away, but easier to get to. And they have a really, really great team. And I was like, okay, let's take her. So they're getting ready to transport her. And I was like, I need to see her before she leaves. Like, I haven't seen her, and I don't know if I'm going to see her again, because you guys don't know what's going on. I'm thinking she was like born with cancer, basically, because I had no idea what was going on. So as soon as I started getting feeling in my feet after the epidural, I was like, I would like to go and see her. And so they wheeled me down to where they were about to transport her. They had her hooked up on all these wires and stuff, and the Nemours team had come in the middle of the night, and Dr. Taylor was there, who was our resident doctor who took care of August for her whole life, was there to transport her there and make sure that she was okay. And Keith and I got to see her for a little bit, and then they took her. And Keith followed behind and just went, he gathered up all of his stuff and just went there. And they started running tests on her. She had a really hard time going, like transporting over there, because she couldn't breathe. She was like really purple, and she was just struggling a lot. And it was because I found out, first of all, they're telling me, go rest.
Yeah, screw off.
Go rest and relax and try to recover. And I'm like, okay, you got to be fucking kidding me.
I don't think any mom could ever do that.
No. And Keith calls me in the morning. I mean, a couple hours later, and he said they think she has a congenital diaphragmatic hernia. And I'm like, he's explaining all of this to me. He's explaining that it's a hole in your diaphragm, and they think that her intestines had come through and were laying on top of one of her lungs and some of her other organs, and that was why she was having a hard time breathing. And when I was laying on my side in bed, and I could feel her like basically struggling.
When you were pregnant?
When I was pregnant. She was like struggling in there as she was it was like later in my pregnancy, it was when she was trying to practice to breathe on her own. Babies practice before they come out. She was having a hard time.
When you were on your one side.
Mm-hmm. And it was because all of her organs were laying on the one side. And
it's the intuition, and your babies can communicate and tell you that something's wrong. And the same thing, like hindsight looking back, you can kick yourself, but you're just like, you would never know. You just think like, oh, they're in there. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah. And I remember thinking at one point, like, the safest she's ever been has been inside me. I wish they could just put her back inside me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know she was safe in there.
Yep.
Because she was breathing because I was breathing. Like, when she was attached to the umbilical cord, she was safe because she could breathe through me. And as soon as she was off, she was struggling. I think the best part about the whole situation was that, like, they said her heart is so strong. Like, it's not on her heart. Some babies have the hernia on the other side. And
this was the positive spin.
Yeah.
You know, hey.
Yeah, the organs could be laying on her heart. And it's like, it's still 50-50 chance of living. Which, when I looked that up, I threw up. I had no idea. I thought, she'll be fine. And then I looked it up online, and Dr. Googled and was like, Jesus, 50-50 chance, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So when Keith told me that, he's like, we need consent to put her on life support ECMO, which the only reason why I knew what ECMO was at the time was because it was COVID and everyone was going on ECMO when
you couldn't even get enough ECMO machines.
Yeah. Like, and it was like, people were saying, like, once they're on ECMO, like, that's a bad sign, because it's life support. So I was like, yeah, like,
whatever you gotta do,
put her on there. And they got her on quick. It's a surgery because what they do is they put tubes into your heart, down like your neck and into your heart, and it basically pumps out bad blood or whatever, cleans it, pumps in the good blood. And she ate from there. She got all of her vitamins from there. Like, she was great, but it's a surgery, so, like, I mean, she wasn't even a couple hours old and she was already having her first
This is so
surgery.
much to process, like, just delivering her and having this blow.
Yeah.
You can't,
she was perfect.
Yeah, you can't prepare for that.
Except for, like, a little hole. Like, she was a perfect, beautiful child, except for a little tiny hole in her diaphragm. Like, that's so unfair.
Yep. Yeah.
It's so unfair. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting through it.
You're rolling, girl.
So I was like, okay, well, I need to be with her now. So it was like, I don't know, 7 a.m, and I just they were like, go ahead and take a nap. And I'm literally, like, laying in my bed with my eyes wide open. I was like, what am I doing? I get out of the bed. I hadn't slept all night. And I just start packing up my stuff. Mm-hmm. And the nurse comes in to see me, and I could tell it's like shift change. And I was like, I'm going to need all my stuff. And she's like, no problem. She, like, gets, like, a huge, like, basically a pillowcase, and she's shoving the pads in and the cold packs in. Everything. She's, like, shoving it all. The tucks. Everything's going in there because you get, like, so much support and, like, recovery care from at least my hospital. I know a lot of hospitals do this. And so she's just shoving stuff in. Like, I still have stuff from August, like, recovery that I'm like, I was walking out of there like,
load me up like for a stay in the Moors,
like Santa. I was like walking out with a sack.
Oh my god!
And I can hear as I'm packing up, and I have everything. I have my bag on. I have all my stuff, and I'm just standing there like this, just waiting with my stuff ready to go. And I can hear the nurses outside talking, and my nurse that had been with me all night is like explaining to the day nurse, like,
her baby's gone.
Her baby's at Nemours, like she's ready to go. Like don't mess with her. She's ready. And like then they're telling the doctor, and the Dr. Broussard that was out there had literally told me about both of my miscarriages, and she had just walked in and she was like, I heard. She's like, let's get you going, mama. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
let's
going.
go.
Thank
I'm
you.
going. Thank you. And she signed my discharge papers. I had to fill out all this like stupid paperwork to even get just discharged. And they like do like a mental health check.
Please.
It's like 5 hours later, like, are you depressed? And like, she's looking at me. She said, you don't really have to fill it out. Just say you're not. Just say you're not so we can let you go. And I was like, thank you. Like,
there should really be something against that.
I know.
Giving that form to, because I remember saying the same thing. I'm not filling this out right now. And they said, just do it before you leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah. Because they can't, like, legally, I don't think they can let you go if they know that you're not, like, mentally feeling good, because it's...
You could do something crazy.
You could do something crazy.
Yes. I understand that. But read the room.
Read the room, yeah. So I'm like, whatever. And I call my mom, and she had just come to visit me and in the hospital, and we're just sitting there like crying together. And my poor mom, I felt so bad. Like she was just as confused as I was because we didn't have any answers yet.
She's probably trying to stay positive for you. And
yeah. And as soon as Keith she left, Keith called me, said like she's doing her surgery, like her surgery is done, like she's good to go. I called my mom back. My mom was like almost home to my house, and I called her back. I said, "You're taking me to the hospital." And she was like, "Okay." And she like turns around. She's like, "Of course." And I'm just like bawling my eyes out in the car with my mom. And she's just like, "It's gonna be okay." Like she's so sweet. And she drops me off there, and I was like, "Where
do I go?
I don't know what is going to happen when I'm here, but like just take care of Otto for me. Like please just take care of Otto. I know that he's going to be in good hands with you." And she's like, "Of course." And yeah, like I got to Nemours. Keith is waiting outside with, actually Jimmy was there. Jimmy knew that is one of Keith's buddies from work, and Jimmy was like such a good friend, and he was standing outside, and Keith like came out with a wheelchair, and he's like, "Okay, let's go." And I was like, "I don't need that." He goes, "No, you need to sit down. You literally just gave birth like a couple hours ago." And they wheel me up, and they were like, "You're August, Mom?" And I was like, "Yes." And they were like, "Oh my gosh!" They were shocked that I was there. And they were like, "I can't believe it." They were like, "She did so good in her surgery," and I talked with
her. Surgery was done when you got to the hosptal.
Yes, her surgery was done, and she was like starting to swell a little bit just because of all of everything. But like the doctor went in there and took like a bunch of pictures of her, and like came out and showed me them, and they like put a little hat on her head, and they were like, "She's doing good. She's doing great. She did great for her first surgery. She's so strong." I was like, "I know," but like hindsight and everything, like if I had gone through with that C-section, if that doctor wasn't there that morning to be like, "Let's do the VBAC, like let's do the TOLAC," like I never would have been able to hold her. She would have immediately been like taken from us. Like I never would have even been able to see her. Gone. I never would have been able to go by her side that quickly, because when you have a major surgery, like you can't get up like that, that quick. And I feel like it all kind of like happened for a reason. Like she was late for a reason. She wanted to spend that kind of time with me. The doctor that was there that day, who wasn't even supposed, I think she was filling in for somebody, like she was
giving
like,
you that opportunity.
Yeah, all of it kind of lined up perfectly.
It's the worst case, shittiest situation you could ever have, and so like messed up. That you have to be able to find like little like glimpses of, oh, I'm so glad I had that moment. That once they cut that umbilical cord, like I had that moment with her, like on my chest, or when she was born, they could put her on my chest. Yeah, like you had that time, even though it was just a millisecond of whatever, just having those moments. It's nice that you can like reflect back and be like, all right, at least I had that. It doesn't make it any better, but like everything else after that was so shitty. That you had, that moment with her So, and you don't know, like we said last week, like when you're pregnant, like you just don't know. No. And you can't go back and appreciate the time.
No, you can't. And I think that's like what sucks, but like that's what's so nice about retelling it, is being able to be like, I did have that moment, because I feel like the shitty parts of everything can flood over you so quickly. And retelling the story, as hard as it is, it does make you like appreciate that time that you did have, because you forget, because all the shitty stuff feels more important. It's just so heavy on you that you kind of forget about the moments in between. So yeah, and then that started her NICU journey, which is like a whole other,
those are our another episode.
Yeah.
Down the line. And a lot of our NICU, when I was there with Summer, a lot of our NICU nurses were like, I was like, oh, do you know like August? And they'd be like, yeah, we know August. So it was crazy. And I was like, wow, I wish that we weren't here together or had the same. Yeah. I wish this wasn't the case. But
yeah. We had a lot of like really cool like happenings in the NICU too. I know you did as well, but like, like one of my doctors, because August was on ECMO, she had her own like special team of people. She couldn't be left alone, because there was always somebody there monitoring her numbers. So like that's why I always felt so good, like being able to go home and like actually get rest and get some sleep, because I knew there was someone there with her at all times. But like one of the doctors there like had a son named August, and they called him Augie, and then his daughter's name was Grace. And I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, like I don't know, the people that were there in that room were meant to be with me, and I felt so much support and love from them. I could go on and on, but yeah, so that's her birth story. It's so wild that it's my story. Like even when you were telling Summer's story last week, I was like, what is our life? We say that all the time to each other. Like, I can't believe that this is our life. Because you just don't think something like that bad is ever going to happen to you or to your baby. And then to your best friend, and then their baby. And like when that stuff happened to Summer,
it opened it back up.
It's not fair. Like to know like that one of your best friends is going through that kind of hell. I would just prayed every day that it wasn't like her outcome wasn't going to be what it was.
Yeah.
And it just sucks so bad.
And I think it's like that's why we're doing this, is because we know that there's hard moments and life has to continue on, and we have to continue on for them, for our children that we have here on earth that are healthy.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't want us to be sad, because we are. So we just have to keep moving and live for them, because they can't be here for it. So we just go for them.
My one of my good friends, Krista Sonhalter, she lost her daughter Lily. She was born in July. I believe it's July, or is it June? I'm sorry, Krista, if I'm getting that date wrong. I think it's July though. She went into labor early. She had some issues with her pregnancy, and they were in the NICU for a while, and then Lily passed away. And this is while I was pregnant with August. And I remember looking at Keith and going, that is like the most unimaginable thing I can't even begin to think about what they're going through. And then a month later, it's happening to us. And so like, I know now what Krista felt when she saw August pass away, you know, like she was like, no, like that was reopening those wounds for her, because I saw it with you, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I just can't believe that this is our life. But I like prayed, like, just thank God for Otto.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if you felt this way when we were in the NICU. Like, Penny was like Penny's our life before. Then when summer came, I forgot I had another child. I forgot Penny existed because she was safe, she was healthy, she was loved, she was fed, she wasn't having uncontrollable seizures. Like, she was fine. And then when Summer died, it was like all I needed was Penny. Like, I just consumed my life. Like, popsicles, 8:30 in the morning. Cool. Yep. You would like that? Sure. You want to go to Target and buy every like Play-Doh, a 36-pack of Play-Doh? Doug was like, absolutely. Put it in the cart.
Yeah. No.
So you just consume your life with that other child. And that's what we found. And there are, people who lose a child and it's their only one. And they have to find that reason and what their reason's going to be to keep on moving.
Yes. And I'm so lucky that Keith is such a good partner, and I'm so lucky that Doug is such a good partner. Like, there's like a statistic where it's like 70% of couples that go through like child loss like that, like a death of a child, they get divorced.
That seems so high to me.
Yeah.
Because you've been in this together. Like, they're the only person that understands what you went through.
Mm-hmm. But you grieve so differently. You grieve different than Doug. I grieve different than Keith. And there's a lot of, like, sometimes there's blame there depending on what has happened. And when it's like a fluke, rare thing, August, that was rare. Mm-hmm. Congenital diaphragmatic hernias are super rare. There's no blame anywhere. Mm-hmm. But we're lucky that we have good partners that we can lean on. And I'm glad that Penny's in her spoiled era. The first year,
they're spoiled.
They are after a death, after a sibling death. Otto, I swear that's why he's a little rotten to the core to this day.
Well,
because we just spoiled the crap out of him. He got anything and everything that he wants. Anything that his heart wanted. He didn't even get it just from us. He got it from everywhere else. And
yes, the amount of gifts that come to your house after you lose a child for your other child.
Yes.
People are like, you need this.
And I do think that, like, Penny and Otto, we talk about this a lot, like, they're on their own grief journey because Otto is now to the age of, like, he knows what happened.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand in its entirety, obviously, but he knows that August died. He knows that Summer died. Yeah. He talks about them both. And he gets sad. Mm-hmm. He knows that they're not here anymore. But I think, like, from outsiders' perspective, like, I hope, like, their behavior can differ from other kids because they're seeing their parents really upset a lot. Mm-hmm. And they're acting out in different ways and seeking attention in different ways because of it's not how they're being treated, but it's what they're experiencing at home. And I think, like, it's important to give grace where it's needed. And
nobody wants to see their parents cry.
Yes.
And our kids saw a lot of crying.
And still do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I get really sad and I'll start crying and Otto knows, like, Mommy, are you thinking about August?
Yeah, it's so sweet.
Yeah. So I don't think I give Otto enough grace sometimes. I think I'm just so worried about, like, oh, he's being bad right now. Like, I need to make sure that he's not being bad and whatever. It's like, I just need to let him go. He's 4. Yeah. He's dealing with it.
As I'm looking at a picture of him on your fridge, looking so sweet and, like, ornery at the same time.
Yeah.
Ready to tear it down. Well, I think that you did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
It's a good way to just talk about it. Because I think we had said, even with Summer, just it's nice to share kind of the part of the story that people don't know.
Yeah.
So that beginning part of the journey, because, you just know the end result of it. So,
and I think that we get caught up and people are afraid to ask questions and that's fine. But it is nice to, like, get it out and retell it again. Even now, like, after 2 years, like, I don't feel like I've told, like, her full birth story in a really long time. Mm-hmm. So it does feel good to actually get it out of my body again.
And I say this is a diary, so that even if Nobody watches it, even though people do watch it. Thank you. But it's a nice diary for the kids to have like down the line to look back on and just know like what we all went through and what they went through too. So for that. All right. Great job.
I love you.
Love you. You did so wonderful.
Thanks.
Wish that we weren't doing this podcast. I wish it never existed.
Man, this podcast blows.
Yeah, this podcast really just gets me. But yes, the little sweet August.
Thanks for listening to her story.
Cute. She is a pretty girl. Thanks.
Yeah, she's beautiful. This is a little tale from the NICU, but when I was there and I was like pumping and making sure that I was like making enough milk, they were like, "You still have a job to do, Mama. Like if you want to breastfeed her, like start pumping." And I was like, "Of course, like I'm on it. I'm on it." So there's like a little shade in the NICU, and I was like pulled the shade back, and I'm pumping like right next to August, and one of the many doctors that had come in to like she was doing respiratory. She was checking her respiratory and checking like all of her tubes and stuff. And she walks in and it was the first time she saw August and she goes, "Oh my gosh, this is a beautiful baby." And I was like, she had no idea I was in there. And I was like, "Thank you so much." And,
Thank you.
And Becky was one of the girls who did August ECMO machine. She's like, "Oh yeah, Mom's back here." Oh. And the lady was like, Could you let me know next time there's a mom back there? What if I was like, "Man, this kid's really ugly."
Oh my God. I bet you they don't say, well, they maybe say it. That could have been putting her in a compromised situation.
Yeah.
I mean, your kid's definitely not.
No.
Yeah. Look at that face.
She's an angel.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, should we take a little break and then we'll come back and like
do a little ending?
Do a little ending.
Perfect. Sounds good.
So let's hear a break from our sponsor, Surfside.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you, Surfside.
Thank you, Surfside, for that. You did a wonderful job. I know I've said that a couple times now.
Can you say it one more time?
You are stand on the table and I will just ovation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so that's a toughie to listen to.
It is going to be, it's tough to listen to. So thank you for listening and sticking around.
And watching.
Yes. We will not be recording next week because I'm going to Mickey's house. Mickey Mouse.
Disney.
So Penny's first time to Disney. That'll be really so fantastic. So we'll be there next week. So we'll pick up the week after.
Lots to talk about.
Yes. So many things. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you anything that happened in Disney World.
No.
I'm kidding. I'll send you some things.
Tell me everything and then I'll act like surprised. I didn't hear. Yeah.
You bring your theater background to have the best surprises.
No way. I've never heard this.
So we'll definitely catch up, I'm sure, at that point. I know when we have reached out on our Instagram and had asked, did anyone have any questions? A few people have responded back.
Yes.
It just didn't really fit in with these last two episodes that we did, but we're keeping a journal. So we'll be sure that if you did submit a question, we'll get you an answer to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because it would take us longer than like 2 minutes to say an answer probably.
Yes. And we're also trying to keep the episodes. We noticed that the episodes are gradually getting longer and we don't want them to get too long. So we're trying to keep them.
Yes.
Around 45 to an hour.
Correct. Yeah. So we definitely are trying to bring those down a little bit. So maybe our next episode will be a little Q&A.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we could do that.
We should do that. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
And it'll leave enough time since we're taking a week off. It'll leave some good time for people to have some questions and whatnot.
Perfect.
Cool.
Well, thank you for listening to the Good Grief podcast, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.